Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. We begin this morning with a closer look at the ongoing issues with Cook County's property tax system. For weeks, homeowners in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood have been asking for help after watching their tax bills skyrocket, in some case tripling overnight. The neighborhood has long faced gentrification, with new construction and remodels popping up on the same blocks where homes haven't even been touched.
As soon as the bill came out, I panicked.
How is this possible?
It makes it very, very difficult to continue in business. It's almost a slap in the face because it is telling us, move on, get out. You can't pay this.
An analysis from the Cook County Treasurer found property taxes countywide rose $614 million for the 2021 tax year. Homeowners are responsible for paying more than half of that increase, as high-value commercial property owners were able to successfully appeal their assessments. But my first guest this morning is hoping to change that by resetting those values back to a higher amount. Cook County Assessor Fritz Kaegi joins me this morning to talk more about those issues and what his office is doing about it. Mr. Assessor, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Paul. Great lead-in.
Always something to talk about with you, and I want to start with Pilsen. That's been making news. That family we saw in the tape there, their taxes in 2004 went from $2,900. They're now $8,600. The area is growing. Pilsen is hot, but it's sending people out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I've been meeting with the community. We were there several times. You showed it on the segment earlier this week. And bills went up in Pilsen because house prices are up more there than any other part of Chicago, but they should not have gone up as much as they did. And just for the reason that you mentioned, we made sure that bigger properties were bearing more of the burden downtown, but that was undone by the Cook County Board of Review. They cut assessed value by 24%. For commercial, only 1% and change for residential. And so that put more burden on every neighborhood in Chicago, including Pilsen. More than half of the increase that was experienced in the 25th Ward, where Pilsen was due to the shift in burden by the Board of Review. So what we've been doing is doing everything we can to take that burden off of people in Pilsen, making sure they get their exemptions, taking appeals on the situations where our values were off, but also we're taking the values for the 600 largest properties in Chicago, which were cut by the previous outgoing lame duck Board of Review. We're taking them back up to where we set them in 21, so the new Board of Review can make a difference and not put so much burden on the people in Pilsen and elsewhere.
Well, I was going there next because obviously you as the assessor, you're a very public figure, you're taking the brunt of it all. And people need to understand this relationship between you and the Board of Review. I know that you raised the values of 559 large commercial properties, but it means it's going to go through the same process again. So what's different now? Was it the November elections that make you think things will be different?
Well, I think there's several things that are different. First of all, it was a lame duck Board of Review where two of the three commissioners, all of the ones that were up for competitive election, were voted out by the public. But they made these cuts on the way out. There's a new Board of Review and new commissioners, including George Cardenas, who represents Pilsen in a heavily Latino district. They don't have to make the same kinds of cuts. They can make a difference by not putting that same burden on homeowners for these 600 properties, which represent a sizable chunk of the assessed value. So that's one way where they can make a difference. I think also when people see the impact in communities in Pilsen, but also all over the city and the county, they see that, hey, too much burden is being put onto homeowners, especially when you look at the data. People don't have to take my word for it. Crane Chicago Business looked at our reassessments of Chicago and they saw that they were not only the most accurate they'd ever been, they're even fair, maybe even conservative.
Now, if that weren't enough, of course, your office got dragged at the end of this week into Chicago's mayoral race, with candidate Paul Vallis facing questions now about claiming a homestead exemption on a house in Palos Heights, despite claiming he lives in Bridgeport in an apartment, and that's his primary residence. I'm not putting you in the mayor's race, but can you explain for people how this investigation happens? Because people now look at you and go, what's the tax? Where's he living, and was he entitled to his homeowner exemption in Palos Heights?
Sure. So our office administers all the exemptions on people's homes, and exemptions are things that they make a system a little bit more progressive. They take a little bit off of your assessed value if it's your main residence. When people claim either anonymously or if it's a reporter or someone else makes a report to us claiming that someone is inappropriately claiming an exemption, we investigate it. We have investigators to look into it, and then the person who is claiming the exemption can submit information to us to get due process, and that's what we're in the middle of right now. But the reason why we have this process is so that if you're claiming an exemption that you're not entitled to, you're putting the burden onto others in your community who have to make up the difference. So that's why it's important that this process have integrity and we follow through with it.
So Maria Pappas was on the show not long ago, and she said some things that brought you into the conversation. I thought it's only fair to have you come and respond to some of that. One of the things that Treasurer Pappas said was that she said the only one doing well in this world of property tax review cases are the lawyers. They're the ones making money. True?
Well, property tax appeals lawyers are the ones who benefit from a broken system. When the system depends on appeals, when there are big reductions being made at the board review, they get paid for the system disagreeing about valuations.
Because they're not appealing to you.
Well, they appeal to us and they appeal to the board review. The thing to know about us is that I've changed this process, and those lawyers, they do not like me. First of all, we made appeals for commercial properties anonymous, so our analysts don't see the identity of the lawyers handling the case. The decisions are made based on the data. And second, I'm the first assessor who doesn't take campaign donations from those folks. One of the new board review commissioners, Samantha Steele, has also made the same promise to raise the ethical bar at the board review by not taking contributions from those folks.
But what do you say? Some say, look, since so many people have success when they appeal their taxes, that would suggest that the assessment in the first place is wrong. So why not get it right in the first place so we don't need those appeals?
Well, we have been focused from day one on that, getting numbers right the first time. And appeals are down for 3 straight years at our office, by about 30% since we got started. I also noted the board review appeals are down as well last year. So numbers are starting to get going in the right direction, but the area where it's still a problem, it's not in residential so much, it's in commercial. We pushed for the data modernization bill in Springfield that would adopt what's used in many other states where we'd have basic data collection to build authoritative data about commercial data so that appraisers can't come in and say that this bacon double cheeseburger is actually a side salad, which is kind of what they do now because there's not enough authoritative data and people can question the data, and the board review has been taking these claims at face value. And this is where we need to make a focus because when they're cutting values by 24% for commercial property, but just 1% in change for homeowners, that is not fair to either homeowners or small businesses who don't have that same kind of access.
And another level of the issue, of course, is that Maria Pappas, in a report she issued this week, says tax collection rates are like 96% around the country, but not in this area. Collection rates on vacant lots, for example, stood below 71%. How do you address the low collection rates on taxes here?
Well, she wrote a really good report, and she's been putting out good reports. A lot of them support, what we've been working on. In this case, it showed that in the Southland, lots of struggling communities have been, they're only collecting about half of the property tax that's due to them. And I met recently with the mayor, Chris Clark of Harvey, and he says that, there's some property owners that are not paying us, but they own properties in Chicago and they are paying. And we want to have more recourse so that we can be paid, so we can pay for our policemen and our firemen. They've had to lay off firemen because they can't collect enough taxes.
So it's a problem that snowballs. Before I lose you for time, I know you're holding some more workshops this month for homeowners on the west side. So what kind of help, what can they expect from you?
There are many things we're doing. So we had a big community meeting in Pilsen at the first of the month. We've had 3 community meetings in Pilsen to make sure that everyone's getting enrolled in the exemptions they deserve, appealing and correcting any errors that we might have made. We've also been doing other outreach before this month, of course, and we'll be sending out exemption forms to people again. And because we've upgraded technology in our office, we want to make sure everyone's getting their exemptions. 1/3 of homeowners don't have the homeowner's exemption. That is too many, and especially in communities like Pilsen where you have first-time home buyers, first-generation Americans, people aren't yet citizens. All these folks are the people we want to reach.
And what's important is that you are fairly accessible. People can reach you.
Yes, and the people in the community, if they asked me to go down to Springfield with them to lobby for legislation, I said, I will go on the bus with you.
All right, thanks. I won't. Thank you, Cook County Assessor Fritz Kaegi. Thanks for being with me.
Okay, thanks,
I don't like
Paul.
bus. We're going to take a quick break, but still to come on WGN-TV Political Report, we're going to take you to Washington.